Students get a feel of election 2017. Lae Police confiscate cartons of explosives. And former Cuban President Fidel Castro dies at 90.
This is National EMTV News with Lorraine Gabina.
Good evening and thank you for joining me for Saturday's news. A mock election exercise has given members of the Youth Against Corruption Association, or YACA, an insight into the process of voting and counting in the national general elections. This is a joint partnership with the PNG Electoral Commission and is a form of awareness for students as a lead-up to 2017. The exercise was conducted in Port Moresby and involved over 20 secondary school students.
The exercise was conducted at Jubilee Catholic Secondary in Port Moresby with representatives from the Electoral Commission. The exercise was aimed at giving students an overview of how national elections are conducted in Papua New Guinea, starting from the polling time to the counting process and the declaration of elected members. Representatives from the Electoral Commission explained to the YACA members how a polling venue is set up and the different roles polling officers play at a polling venue. Beginning with a presiding officer, the person in charge of the entire polling clerks, the officials who check names on the electoral rolls, and even the official who marks the fingers of voters before they are given the ballot papers to vote.
We've realized that in 2017, a lot of young people will be voting in the elections, and not all of them necessarily know the process that takes place during elections. So there were two things that we wanted to achieve with this particular forum. The first thing was for them to actually learn what happens during an election and what happens during the process of voting and how things should be going on when voting takes place.
This is the first time a mock exercise was conducted for the YACA members on the national elections. Most of the students are categorized as provisional voters because come 2017, it will be their first time to cast their votes.
But by going through this exercise, I'm pretty sure that a lot of them have realized that the second preference and the third preference are just as important as the first preference, because it's usually the second and the third that decide who the winning candidate is.
After conducting the polling exercise, the students participated in counting the ballot papers, an experience that YACA members are grateful to have participated in. Thakla Gunga, National EMTV News.
Lae Police have confiscated a large number of explosives from criminals at West Taraka. A policeman intercepted 5 suspects at the settlement at around 10 this morning. The suspects fled, leaving behind 4 cartons of explosives. 2 of them contained plastic explosives C4. PNGDF's engineering battalion have been tasked to take them away and keep them in a safe place at Igam Army Barracks. Martha Lewis with this report.
These explosives were identified as highly dangerous, and if used, they stand to cause massive destruction to lives and properties. 2 of the 4 cartons contained the plastic explosive C4. There were 60 units found in each, while the other 2 contained cords. They were in the hands of criminals at West Taraka when police got information and moved into the area to confiscate them.
I'll go down to the bottom of this and find out who actually gave them and where they got it from. This we will find out, and who was in possession of this and why did they have to take possession of these things. It's not ordinary people, these are rascals in West Taraka. They are doing that for whatever reason. They are doing it. It's until and unless we do a proper investigation, we will then be able to establish why they wanted to take these things into their possession and for whatever reason they got these things into their possession.
Divisional Commander for Northern Region, Peter Guinness, says police at this time are not sure how and why these dangerous explosives were in the hands of the criminals. These are the only type of explosives that can be used to do immense damage. They are more dangerous than a single bullet.
Explosive itself here, like one blood, kind of like one blood size finger. It's like almost 1 gram, 1 gram of explosive. The more you kind of see running Muslim slay, and when you can write of him certain area, this la one role here, and more just explosive instead of plastic here.
Police will investigate and find out who and where are these dangerous items sourced and how it got to the hands of the criminals, as it poses a great asset to lives and property. Commander Guinness adds that these explosives were discovered at the time where criminals have been issuing threats to police.
And for them to carry this kind of materials to go to West Araga, particularly go around West Araga to go up the mountain, this is something that is very, very suspicious. We may never know what had happened or what would have happened if we did not intervene and pick up these materials, these explosives. So this is very, very dangerous. It's becoming very dangerous now. And we will not stop from here. We will continue with the investigation, and the investigation will actually go to unfold how these materials came into the possessions of those 5 suspects that were actually carrying these materials when they got picked up, intercepted and they got picked up.
Matalubis, National EMTV News, Lae.
White Ribbon Day, a day set aside to raise awareness on ending violence against women and girls, was observed with a march to Parliament yesterday. Incorporated with the Sun Up One Time campaign, city residents presented orange hands of promise to the government. On behalf of the government, National Planning Minister Charles Abel pledged the government's support to stop gender-based violence in the country. Some 300 Ward Street primary students joined civil society groups in the march.
The Sun Up One Time campaign aims to make the city a safe place for women and girls. The march started from Ward Street Primary School along Godwin Road to the Parliament. The march was led by NCD Governor Powers Pakop, UN Women's PNG representative Dr. Jeffrey Buchanan, UN Women Youth Champion Jay Liasi, and the PNG Under-20 Women's Soccer Team.
Being out there and seeing how the youth have really taken charge of the whole campaign has been really, life-changing for me.
The Orange Hands of Promise was received by the National Planning Minister Charles Abel on behalf of the Prime Minister.
We don't accept what is still happening to our women and girls in public places and at home, and we are going to do something about it.
This shows that the government has pledged to make the city and the nation a whole a safe place for women and girls. And City Governor Powers Pakop says that the new normal should also be achieved in other parts of the country.
So it's important for us, for adults as well, that we eliminate violence, we reduce it to the lowest level, or ideally eliminate it, and live in an environment of peace, harmony, and respect.
Youths around the nation are encouraged to join the fight against violence against women and girls. Merlin Diaukatam, National EMTV News.
The PNG Forest Authority says forest covers in the country are declining very rapidly compared to the past years. Acting Managing Director Tuno Sabwin says new statistics indicate that PNG's forest cover is about 64%. However, this percentage is dropping. The PNG Forest Authority has been embarking on community-oriented reforestation programs to help regain the lost percentages destroyed by resource development projects and an increase in population density in recent years.
But we can talk Yumi no got 100% forest cover more. Yumi no got 94% more. Yumi no got 84% more. Emol statistics or figure. Yumi 7 harim planetime parablo yaublo Yumi. Now Yumi got 74% forest cover. That's the latest report. Now 20% cropland, ground where forest where you may clear him, now you may put him oil palm, you may put him kai, lick or something, you may plant him longan, about 20%. So you may look him. Suppose you may not start lo plan him DY now. Now increasing forest cover blow you me, lo next 20, 30, 40, 50 years. Me can talk you plus threat. By forest cover blow you me by go down below 50% or even below 40%.
One of Medang's elder statesmen was laid to rest in Medang this week. Tom Pies was the former two-time regional member for Medang. He also served as the Minister for Justice, Minister for Civil Aviation and the Minister for Agriculture and Livestock back in the 1980s. Family members including Medang Governor Jim Cass, representatives of the Medang Provincial Assembly and other prominent figures farewelled the late Pies on Thursday. He passed away last month, aged 70.
The late Tom Pies is one of three prominent figures from Medang, respected by the Medang public and the provincial government for their work and achievements towards the people of Medang in their time. The funeral of late Tom Pies yesterday saw members of the Medang provincial government, both former and current, attending, as well as the Medang Governor Jim Cass joining the Pies family. The late Tom Pies passed away at 10:45 p.m. on a Friday, the 28th of last month, survived by his wife, 7 children and 24 grandchildren. The Medang provincial government has to make ends meet to support funeral and burial arrangements for all three prominent figures in the country reigning from the Medang province, one being the senior statesman, the late Se Angmay Bilas, late Stanley Pil, and late Tom Pies. The late Tom Pies will be buried tomorrow at our village, his own village in the Bogia district. Rachel Shise, National MTV News, Medang.
You're with National MTV News. When we come back, the death of former Cuban President Fidel Castro. Stay with us. Welcome back to the news. Turning overseas now, the death of former Cuban President Fidel Castro at 90 has stunned the world, though he suffered ill health for over a decade. He has made a lot of negative and positive impact on the people and powerful nations such as the United States. He led Cuba in a revolution in 1959 and with the army ruled the communist island nation since then.
From the moment they rolled into Havana, that New Year's Day, 1959, ragged, bearded, and unwashed, the rebels that became the island's military were bent on a radical break from the past. Today, more than 50 years later, Cuba's armed forces remain the country's most powerful institution and key to Cuba's future. During most of that period, while military leaders elsewhere in Latin America came and went, Raul Castro was Cuba's Minister of Defense. Now he's president. While other regional militaries earned a reputation as kingmakers and coup plotters, knocking down governments as they saw fit, Cuba's military always stood by Fidel Castro and the Communist Party. It was left to the Interior Ministry to enforce Communist Party rule. It's worth stressing the monolithic unity of the people, the army, and the party, said Raul Castro at a parade marking the 50th anniversary of the armed forces. This unity is our main strategic weapon, which has allowed this little island to resist and defeat so many aggressive acts of the imperialists. While other forces in the region have often focused on internal security, Cuban soldiers earned experience abroad. Tens of thousands fought in Angola, the Congo, Ethiopia, and Mozambique, supporting leftist movements and regimes. But what really distinguishes Cuba's military is its role in the economy. This is the face of Cuba's military today, just as much as troops and tanks. The army directly controls many tourist hotels like this one, and they have a hand in everything from mining to telecommunications. Though that economic role started well beforehand, it expanded quickly after the fall of the Berlin Wall and the collapse of Soviet subsidies.
The armed forces, with their tradition of hierarchy and discipline, and particularly discipline, were asked to take over in the sense of posting officers in and actually militarizing the industry. By militarizing, that meant military discipline could be applied to the workers there.
But most importantly, the military is the backbone of the country's government. Its loyalty and close ties to the Communist Party make Cuba's armed forces a much more likely source of continuity than change.
Trukai Sports is next. Jeremy will have the details after the break.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. In the FIFA Under-20 Women's World Cup, France has kicked Germany out of the race to the finals after defeating them 1-0 at the Sejonggai Stadium. And while it was a thrilling game of football, France had the upper hand all throughout the match, dominating with ball possession. 9 countries will compete in this year's FIBA Oceania Under-18 Basketball Championships in Suva, Fiji. For the first time, PNG is sending a men's and women's team to the regional meet. And with only 9 days remaining, Papua New Guinea is hoping to qualify for the FIFA Under-19 World Cup Championships next year.
The FIBA Under-18 Oceania Championships is the highest level of youth competition in the region. Papua New Guinea will take part for the first time in this year's Under-18 tournament in Suva, Fiji, held from the 5th to the 10th December. Up to 15 participating teams, 7 men's and 8 women's teams will battle it out in the week-long tournament, with the winner to earn a qualification spot to the FIBA Under-19 World Championships 2017. The tournament is expected to showcase some of the region's best young basketball talents from Fiji, Australia, Papua New Guinea, New Caledonia, New Zealand, Tahiti, Guam and Samoa. For the first time ever, the new 2017 calendar will provide an opportunity for Oceania countries other than New Zealand and Australia to have the potential to qualify for the World Cup and Olympic Games. Team PNG is only a week and a half away from leaving the country to attend the tournament. For many of these youngsters, travelling outside of Port Moresby is an overwhelming experience for the first time, says the PNG Basketball CEO Joel Kalu. Mr. Kalu says PNG Basketball Federation is ready to host the Under-15 Oceania Championships in 2018, but the national tournaments will be carried out for both the Under-15 and Under-17 to select top players for the 2 categories. Meanwhile, senior players will start their training sessions early next year in preparations for the Melanesian Cup tournament, with PNG to play host. Godwin Eki, National MTV Sports.
To AFL, the Gordons Kokofas have won the 2016 AFL Premiership, defeating Bomana Cats in a thrilling encounter at the Colts Oval in Port Moresby. Kokofa, trashing the Cats by an emphatic 27 points margin. Teka Gunga with more.
Smiles all around as Gordon Kokofas in red and white celebrated their maiden grand final win. The match starting off evenly with Bomana Cats putting up a good fight in the first and second quarters, although it was Kokofa who scored first. At half-time, the scoreboard was 3-1 with Kokofas in front. It was in the third half, however, that the Cats would finally get on the score sheet with 2 goals in quick succession. That, however, was soon cancelled out as Kokofa began to impose themselves physically and on the scoreboard. A number of push and shoves were involved, but the Kokofas managed to keep the Cats off their goalposts, disturbing them every time the ball was in the Cats' possession. Injuries to key players in the Cats' lineup would haunt them as Kokofa began to pile on the points. Eventually victorious with 6 goals, 6 behinds for 42, to the Cats 2 goals and 1 behind for 15. Takla Gunga, National MTV Sports.
That ends Trukai Sports. The weather details for the next 24 hours when we come back.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield. Worth doing with Dulux.
Taking a look at the weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow in the southern region, it's a shower or 2 for Port Moresby and mostly fine for Daru, Kerema, Alotau and Popondetta. In the Momaster region, Lae expecting thundery showers and rain and thunderstorms for Madang, Wewak and Vanimo. In the New Guinea Islands, Lorengau, Kavieng, Kokopo, Rabaul and Kimbe expecting rain and thunderstorms and a shower or two for Buka. And in the Highlands region, all centers are expecting showers.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield, with doing with Dulux.
Recapping our top stories for tonight, secondary school students trial a mock election in preparation for 2017. Lae Police confiscate cartons of dangerous explosives, and former Cuban President Fidel Castro dies at 90. And that's the way it is this Saturday, the 26th of November 2016. From the entire news team, good night.